Coming up on your favorite podcast tonight, Tim and Derek are back to shoot the breeze, just the way it always was intended to be. Derek and I will sit here for the next hour. We'll gab about a lot of things. I want to talk to him a little bit about the Aaron Rodgers stuff, talk a little Timberwolves and NBA in general. I want to talk to him about the NBA Top 75, some recent releases in the WWE, and know that got him totally going, and he's got his dander up about something, so I got to let him have an opportunity to do that. We'll have him in here shortly. So it's Derek, it's I, and we're shooting the breeze for the next hour here on the podcast.
You take the good, you take the bad, you take them both, and there you have the facts of life. The facts of life. But when's the time you got to go and show you're growing? Now you know about the facts of life. The facts of life. When the world never seems to be living up to your dreams, and suddenly you're finding out the facts of life are all about you. All about you. All about you. It takes a lot to get 'em right when you're learning the facts.
Hey, it's the Tim Anderson Podcast. I'm Tim. That's my buddy Derek over there. He's emotional, he's sad, but he's here, and that means only one thing. It's time for Derek and I to shoot the breeze over the next hour. Derek and I are going to sit down, hit on a number of topics. Some we've mapped out, but I got a feeling some of them are going to be new things that we haven't mapped out yet, and that's exciting because we could go a million different directions. It's all dependent upon what my co-host wants to do. Derek, good to have you on the podcast again.
Hi, Tim. Thanks for having me. It's very possible, too, as a curveball, we might get interrupted by my oldest child for a moment.
That could be just fine, too. Why not? What would the oldest child possibly want from you at this point?
I think she's looking for a snack. Are you looking for a snack? A drink? She wants some chocolate milk.
I like that she came in, immediately flipped on the brightest light you have behind you. That's what was great. And now you're back to looking like you're on the witness protection program.
Can you...
Just let it go.
That light off and you go downstairs.
We're good. This is what parenting is all about. Now, this is the stuff I don't get to have, Derek. I don't get to have this stuff. I don't get to have these parenting moments that you get to have. This is what's fun about you.
We had a Target mistake. I won't say mistake. I grocery shop at a super Target, and one of the milks we got is leaking.
How do you not catch that on your way out?
It didn't. I don't know what happened. It wasn't leaking in the carton. It didn't leak on the belt. They put it in the fridge, and it's dripping everywhere, and I don't get it.
Did something happen in the transfer? Now, this is important stuff. The way you bag things at the store is really important.
That's a great question. I don't know. I did bag it myself, but I'm a pretty good bagger, and I got nothing. I was going to return it, but
I think it's on you. I think it's your fault is what they'll tell you.
Although sometimes... Well, that's soaked up pretty good. Let me see. I'm just going to set it back in there without the paper.
And did you say multiple gallons of milk? How many gallons of milk are you buying?
Probably three a grocery trip. My kids drink chocolate milk like it's water.
Oh my God, that's a lot of that's a lactose intolerance nightmare.
You know how Pac-Man needed power pellets to survive? That's my kids in chocolate milk.
Now, do you buy the regular milk and do you mix in like the cocoa, the what is that? The Quicks, the Quick? The Nestle Quick? Do you mix that in, or is it something else?
Yeah, no, we mix in the Quick.
Smart man. That's the only way to do it. I mean, I like the chocolate milk just fine, but
they don't like chocolate milk the other way. They've tried it.
So you got to doctor it up because you go heavy on it. You got to go two scoops.
Then you can go, but they think the other chocolate milk is too sweet. So
too sweet. How old are they? 75 years old? How old are you? Come on now. This is ridiculous.
I don't know what the word is. Too chocolatey, too sweet. You name it.
This is the most ridiculous conversation we've ever had. I can't believe this. We've got two kids. This is ridiculous. The two young kids are talking about how it's too sweet and too chocolatey. What is happening here?
You know what we could do, Mallory? We should have Tim do a podcast with you. And you can talk about why a 9-year-old can be sassy to their parents, but not to their teacher or their friends. And then I want you to tell the kids on my caseload at work that it's okay to be sassy to their parents, but not their teachers.
Oh, I can't have these conversations. This is why I don't teach elementary school kids, and this is why this is why I don't have kids, because I don't want to come home to this. I just noticed you have 7 boxes of cereal behind you. What are you, Jerry Seinfeld? What is going on here?
Yeah, no, we are.
This is off you got 3 gallons of milk and you got 7 boxes of cereal.
Best part is we don't eat that cereal very often. Most of it's probably going to go stale.
It's
waves.
ridiculous. I got to go hang out at your house. There's always something over there.
You can. There's cereal. We got it.
Got cereal. Got lots of cereal. Anything you can have.
Reese's Puffs Boo Berry, which of course is off the shelf now.
I do have to comment on this. I noticed one of our colleagues today was making a sandwich at lunch. And
at lunch?
At lunch was making the sandwich. Had all the ingredients and was making it. I got to tell you, it was the most professional looking sandwich I've ever seen. Like, I've never wanted a sandwich more in my life than watching. Like, there's no kid at Subway who can make a sandwich as good as what I saw today.
Can you give me a hint as to who the colleague is without saying their name?
In our English department, one of our lovely union reps.
Oh, fair enough. Okay.
Can make a sandwich like nobody's business.
I believe it too.
I was prepared to hand her $20 to eat that sandwich. I was like, I've got $20 in my wallet. I want what you're having. Can you either make one for me or just give me what you have? It was incredible. It was emotional, and I think she was emotional eating it. I was emotional watching her eat it because it made me feel like I should have it.
Interesting.
It does make me think about this. I'm a professional sandwich eater, as you know. And you probably are too.
Yeah.
Have you noticed, though, you can't make a sandwich as good as somebody else making a sandwich for you? Like, no matter how good your sandwich is that you made, if somebody else makes it for you, it seems to taste better.
I want to know the same thing when I go to a restaurant. I barely ever just get, like, a sandwich. But, when you get one on square bread and you just happen to get, like, one of their deli sandwiches, and I'm like, wow, they made a ham sandwich taste good. At home, I put a ham sandwich together, and I'm like, So
ham sandwich
I don't
sucks.
get how that happens at all. It makes no sense to me.
I don't know why you would order a ham sandwich anywhere. That's what you make when you're out of the good stuff at home.
Sometimes you end up stuck going to Panera because the other coworkers want to go there, and
you tell those guys to go pound sand and that you're going somewhere good.
No, because I don't want to be one of the old crotchety people at work that always says no to everything.
But then you're just a yes man though. You're the opposite completely now.
I get my plugs in every now and again.
I suppose so.
Go here. All right.
Very fair, very fair. But I just think you eat a ham sandwich when you're out of the turkey and the chicken and the roast beef. You're like, oh man, is that all we got left? Is the ham? I guess it'll do.
Ham's my deli meat. If I gotta go deli meat, it's ham. That's my choice. I can't go elsewhere. Turkey's not my fave.
You, my friend, are. I'm trying to figure. I think you're like the Iowa of sandwich eaters. You're just like give me the most basic.
I don't want any made right stuff. You keep that made right stuff.
Oh man,
never actually had a made right. No disrespect, made right. I don't know.
I have no idea what that even is. Is that a real thing?
Yeah, it's like how we got Culver's from Wisconsin.
Yes,
I always got these places called made rights. I think they're basically like Sloppy Joe's, but they call them made rights. It's the name of the fast food chain.
It's the name of the chain, but they make Sloppy Joes?
They call them made right, though. In Iowa, they call it made right. You know how we call things a hot dish that other states call casseroles?
Yes.
We call Sloppy Joes their made rights, and they must be good.
There's
one in St. Cloud, or at least there was one when I was in college up there, and I never ate there because I didn't know what it was.
Well, now I'm on a mission. Now we have to eat this.
Will you drive up to St. Cloud?
If there's one in St. Cloud, yeah, I'll do it.
I think it's still there.
Okay.
Well, then, next summer we go get a made right, and then we can go play golf at the Little Crow Golf Course in New London, Minnesota. You'd like that place.
Yeah, I'm all for a golf course. If you say golf, I'm in.
Middle of nowhere, but you'd like it.
Hey, I like middle of nowhere. You want to know what that means? Nobody's out there.
No, that golf course is packed jam. Like, it's like the course of that area.
Is it all hayseeds that can't play? They're all playing with wooden clubs and hickory sticks?
No. This is how popular that it's between two towns on the highway, but it's a 27-hole course.
Okay, I'm in.
They just added a brand new hotel attached just to that golf course, like a resorty hotel.
Dude,
just
that
for
sounds
golf
fantastic.
Course.
I'm totally in. Let's go do that. What are we doing?
Yeah. I stayed there last summer because of a family thing. We didn't play golf because there was no time, and I didn't fully know it. I played that course when I was younger. Now I'm like, wow, there's a whole hotel built just for this golf course. It's crazy.
Dude, it's fantastic. We got to go. That's awesome.
And just up the road a few miles, too, there's an awesome mini golf course, too. Just throwing that out.
I'm in on that, too. But fine. We'll double down. We'll have fun with it. It'll be great.
All right.
I know you're gearing up to watch a little football tonight after a rough day at school because Mondays are brutal.
I might actually try to watch Little Timberwolves and see if they right the ship, but
Oh, you want to get it?
Let's go football. I'm going to watch that too.
Do you want to go football first, and then because I want to hear your Wolves
let's
talk?
Let's go football. I burned your segue because I'm talented like that. You know, I get the obvious track, and then I nope. Let's just switch.
You know what? It's shooting the breeze. That means we can go anywhere we want. That's the beauty of this. It's kind of a flush the format kind of a show.
That's right.
You watched all the
Rodgers.
Rodgers.
People associate my opinions with Flushing.
That's true. They have done that. Flushing, New York, which is where you're wanted to be.
My neighbor doesn't want to do a show with me ever again.
Oh, come on now. Zach's going to listen to this, and he's going to be like, "That's absurd. I can't have this." So we'll see if
he's
he
tired of my Marty Jannetty talk.
We'll see. He'll talk Marty Jannetty all day. Trust me. You watched all the Rodgers stuff, I'm assuming, this weekend, like I did. It's sort of laughable, but I guess I think his logic is silly at the same time. I don't know if I think he should have sat out. I don't know. I guess I'm in that spot where I'm done with the COVID stuff, but at the same time, he did lie, and I think there's something to be said for that too. I don't know what to make of it. So this is where I go to you, my moral compass.
Yeah.
And I let you tell me what I got to think. Go ahead.
Well, it's hard because he could have been. There were other NFL players this summer. Yep. That flat outs like Kirk Cousins, with flat outs and
your guy Harrison Smith, who seems like just a real bright guy.
Bills, but that flat out said, I'm not vaccinated. There is absolutely no way you could convince me that Aaron Rodgers didn't plan his words very carefully to make it sound like he was vaccinated when he wasn't. So then it seemingly now he could skirt some of the COVID protocols he would be facing. It sure seems like that right now because it looks like the Packers are going to be in trouble for avoiding some protocols. And it's not like the NFL is putting pressure on you to get vaccinated, but they didn't mandate you be vaccinated.
Right.
So he could have just said all right, it is what it is. And then, if you're going to get your medical advice from a comedian,
that's the part that's funny, right?
That's hard for me. Still, and even Joe Rogan himself has said I wouldn't take my own advice when he was asked after he got COVID, and it's just sorry. I will say this is shocking. I know a lot of people turn to social media too for medical advice, but I still go to what's it called? My doctor. She's pretty good at giving advice. And
on medical stuff, it's almost like they know what they're talking about.
Another specialty person, to go get that figured out. I'm not, when I had really bad pneumonia in 2017 and they couldn't figure out what the root cause of it for a while was. And I was a little nervous, but I never once was I got to go to Facebook, I can't breathe. I got to go check out what my chiropractor thinks. Never occurs to me. No, oh, you cracked my spine. Oh, look, the fluid came out of my lungs. Amazing. Thanks, chiropractor. Anyway, and then to top it all off, and I read this somewhere, I don't remember where, but Aaron Rodgers, and I don't know if he knew he was doing this, is wearing a Doc Holliday shirt.
I love that.
He had a respiratory illness to discuss
it's almost
illness.
Yeah, see that's
no, you can't write that.
No, you can't. That's what I was just gonna. You really cannot make that up. That
I don't. If he would have taken some heat right away if he was just blunt from the start and say, yeah, you know what, I'm not comfortable getting it, and it would have been over. It would. You know what? They were 7-1. It would have been over. The people were like, you know what, we're winning. Who cares?
Yeah.
So there.
I'm of the camp of I didn't mind that they didn't even play him because that game doesn't affect them long term. Who cares? They lose to the Chiefs. They got to see Jordan Love for a game, and they got to sit their 37-year-old quarterback. I call it a mini bye week. Who cares? But the problem here is it's not even. I can live with the lying, and I can live with all. I really can. I can't live with the fact that he just continues to act as though he is so put upon. He's such a victim. Everything is. I am the smartest guy in the room. Will everybody just listen to me? Let me make all the decisions. I'm really smart. If the Packers would let me just make all the personnel decisions, we'd be a lot better off. Oh, if they paid me more than $35 million a year to run the team, we'd be much better off. Oh, if I could host Jeopardy would be in a much better position. And now it's like, if the president would just get rid of Dr. Fauci and the CDC and just let me make all the COVID decisions going forward for the NFL and for the United States of America, I'm not saying we'd be in a worse position. I just find it gets to be too much after a while to listen to this guy go, I'm really the smartest guy in the room. Everybody, will you just please listen to me? I can't handle that. That's the stuff that drives me crazy.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Oh. I get it. I don't like when there's something about getting to a certain age where there's so many people you're around, and I'm guilty of it too, but decision makers, no matter what they are, if they're like our boss, someone else's boss, any politician, no matter what happens, 50% of the people are like, oh, that's dumb. Oh, I could do better. Why don't you do it this way? Like, and the people like me and everyone else who are complaining, like, oh, they should be doing it this way. Like, we don't even strive to be in a decision-making position. We just are like, I don't want to be in that position, but if I was, that's the way I would do it, even though I don't have all the information. I'm just like pontificating. I don't know if that's the right word in this
It's moment. The right word.
It just drives me crazy when, like, it drives me crazy. Like, it's too. That's something they need to teach you when you're young. Like, you know what? When you're old, you're going to complain about stuff all the time. Just be ready for it, kids. Nothing's going to be good enough, no matter what.
I had a moment like this over the weekend. I went to a play. I went to the high school play. And I haven't been to a play in a while. And I'm just sitting there, and I'm laughing at the first act. Everything's fine. But then I got some smart mouth, kind of loud kids sitting next to me. And they're cheering overly loud for things, and they're like talking back to the actors, and I'm kind of like what's happening here? Like, what is going on? And I started feeling my blood really, like, I think my blood pressure went up, and I started to kind of like get really pissed off. Like, I wanted to yell at these kids, like, and they're probably kids I'm going to have in my class next trimester or something like that, but I wanted to yell at them so bad. Mm-hmm. And part of me is like, is this me getting old, or am I in the right? I didn't know if I was turning. My wife thinks I'm turning into like the old guy who shakes his fist on the lawn and yells at the kids. That's what my wife is worried I am turning out to be. I'm hopeful that that's not the case, but maybe that is. What's happening to me?
What you're describing to me, I don't think so though, because you were looking out for those other kids on the stage. I look at it this way: when, like, the school where we work at, when the football team say loses a game. And then a student is like, oh, they're terrible. And my next response is, well, did you try out for the team? No. Well, then it's your fault for not trying to help, isn't it? Like, you could be out there, but instead, no, you sit on the sidelines and go, no. And there's one years ago back, I don't know if I had cafeteria duty at the time or whatever, but there was a group of kids playing Magic the Gathering.
Yep.
Not my thing, and I'm sure when I was younger, I laughed about that too. But they're just sitting at a table playing Magic the Gathering. Another couple of kids walked by that, the quote cool kids, and they just immediately turned and start making fun of them. And I stopped those kids and I said, did they invite you to play? And they're like, no. Then who cares? They're doing something they want to do. You do things you want to do that I'm sure other people think are weird. That's one thing about human beings. Like, we always are like, probably from our own self-conscious, is like, you're doing something that is silly to me, so I'm going to make fun of it. Probably because I'm insecure that I do something that's silly over here, and I don't want you to make fun of it. Like, we play fantasy football, and ostensibly, it is a silly game. I love it.
It's so stupid, too. Why do we even do this to ourselves? I cannot believe we do it.
Yeah. It's how I'm trying to go, like, how – and I used to – there was a group that I played with that would make fun of, anyone that didn't do anything that they didn't deem cool. But I'm like, this really is the Dungeons and Dragons of sports. Like,
it really is, to a certain extent.
Yeah. I mean, realistically, why, we could make fun of ourselves if you're going to make fun of someone playing Dungeons and Dragons. It's the same concept.
Well, this is what you and I fought for years growing up when we were pro wrestling fans, until pro wrestling became popular in high school and we got cool, and then all of a sudden it was fun. But for the longest time, you and I were hiding our love for pro wrestling. We weren't telling anybody that.
No, I remember the first couple of times they wore T-shirts out, and I was, like, what would I have, 19, 20, and then I got adults still making fun of my T-shirts in front, and I was just like, wow, it's still happening. So later on in my college years, though, like my last couple of years, I remember I probably had a wrestling shirt for every day of the week, and no one said boo because it was that hot. But yeah, you're right. There was years when you had to hide.
You couldn't talk. You couldn't talk. And when you found somebody in the fraternity, that's when, like, there were friends that I probably had that I didn't even like, but the fact that they liked pro wrestling was like,
yeah,
well, I kind of got to be friends with those guys because we gotta keep together. We gotta stay close. Like we can't abandon each other.
I remember on the college campus though, like you'd be wearing like an Austin 316 shirt, and they'd come by with like a Hardy Boys shirt, and you didn't know the person. You never going to talk to the person, but you gave kind of that little silent, like subtle nod to each other because you just knew, and they just kept walking by.
Like two old people up north, like you're driving up around northern Minnesota, and all of a sudden you're like, people are waving at you on the road. You're like, I don't know who that person is, but they waved at me. I'm going to wave back because we have this common thing now.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's absolutely true. It's crazy weird though.
I can't explain that. I really loved I kind of love that answer. You know what it reminded me of? That last story you told, it reminded me of that. I think we've talked about this because we have Veterans Day coming up this week. And so obviously there's the vaunted Veterans Day assembly, which everybody gets really jazzed up for here at the high school. I love this. This was my favorite story of all time. Top 10. I've been teaching 8 years. This is top 5, top 10 for me all time. The assembly happens, and some kids don't stand for the anthem. They're kind of protesting and whatever. And we get back to class, and they're like, yeah, did you see those kids who didn't stand for the anthem? Oh, what? Kids didn't stand for the anthem? Yeah, they didn't stand for the anthem. You know what? If I would have went to that pep fest, I'd have done something about it.
Yeah, no, that's pretty funny. That is funny.
Oh, you just summed up high school right there. That's the whole thing in a nutshell.
It's true.
Oh, I love it.
It's true. It's funny.
Let's talk NBA while we're sitting on this now, because
all right.
2 weeks ago, I would say you were feeling like the parade route is going to go somewhere through Hennepin Avenue in Minneapolis. It was going to drive past. That we will tear down Target Center this summer and rebuild a A-Rod Palace. Now 2 weeks later, fast forward, and the wheels are falling off, and trade Cat, trade Russell, fire the coach, tear down the stadium, and just don't build anything else there. You got Jim Peterson going on radio or TV saying, well, the reason why we don't win games is because we don't practice enough in Target Center. He said that!
Well, he has more NBA experience than I do by like a lot.
That's a preposterous statement. Come on.
But, playing in the league and all. So I don't know, like, maybe there's something to that, but I still don't get how you practicing in a practice gym doesn't translate to playing in your arena. But I guess I was optimistic right away. I really was. My honest high hope was the play-in tournament for this season, and they ended last year strong. Like, I really enjoyed watching the Timberwolves last April. It was fun. I'm worried that the previous move maker, who's now been fired for being we'll say, not nice person, has maybe overmanaged his joy of trades and moves. They don't have a lot of depth. They don't have a lot of people who can shoot the ball. I do think you can't move Towns and you can't move Edwards. And unless you can get a point guard at least of D'Angelo Russell's caliber, you can't move him right now either. Because when he's not playing a game, they are listless. They are a ship that's ready to tip over. Their offense is abysmal. I've never seen anything quite like it. I did John Krasinski, the guy from The Athletic. Yesterday I don't remember what he put on Twitter, and very rarely do I get a reply from anyone on Twitter because it's mostly like celebrities. We don't have a lot of friends on there, but I gotta get you.
Do I follow you on Twitter? We gotta talk. I gotta make sure that I'm following you. We gotta talk. I don't see you tweet enough.
You should see how I don't tweet very often because nobody reads them. Because I don't have.
If they're on my feed, I'm gonna read them.
Very nice. Well, and And I sometimes will comment on knee neighbors, but he doesn't reply. Anyway.
Oh, here we go again.
I'm trying to create like a fake.
You are trying to turn. You're like a heel turn here. This is ridiculous what we have going on.
No. Just like Shawn Michaels, when I was watching your back, you were watching your back.
Yeah.
Remember Marty Jannetty? No. Got his name in twice today. What was I saying?
You were on a mission today.
What were we talking about?
You were talking about the Wolves.
That's what happens when I go off on my tangents of thought. They kind of get lost. The Timberwolves. No, I mentioned like kind of tongue in cheek. I said, do you think Rubio would help just a little bit? And he wrote back, yeah, maybe just a little. Like, if D'Angelo Russell is out, they have nobody that can run the offense. And then I was listening to another radio show when I was here, and they confirmed my thought that the other two point guard people we have that can play point guard, Beverly and J-Mac, aren't at that level yet where they can run an offense. Well, Beverly's on the downside of his career, but Rubio wasn't a great shooter last year, but all of a sudden now for Cleveland, he's shooting the lights out again. And I'm just like, because he was doing that for Utah, and he can lead a team. I know he's not like the greatest offensive threat we ever thought. The guy can lead a team. He was a mentor to Anthony Edwards last year. I feel like that. I'm not saying that someone else couldn't take over that role, but that would have been a nice person to have in a case, especially with Russell potentially being out. We also got a lot of like athletic players who can be all over the floor but cannot shoot the ball.
This is the thing, though. They said that Beverly was going to be this guy. Like, that's what Patrick Beverly is like this veteran presence who shows up and plays defense and brings grit and, gets in people's asses on the court and, is going to hold people accountable and capable of running an offense in spurts and can get a shot every now and again. And McLaughlin's supposed to be this offensive guy who can score a little bit and people like his talent. And it's like between those two, you're trying to tell me we can't get 7 to 10 minutes off the bench of somebody who can run the freaking offense?
Well, I think they can each give you 10 minutes, but I'm saying like right now when Russell is out for a game, you need those guys, one of those two to give you 30, and they're not there.
Yeah. And I'm here. I've been in the trade camp. I've been in the trade camp of Cat for a while, actually.
Yeah.
I have not been a Cat guy. Like, I think we've seen – I just think the evidence is there. Like, we've seen the preponderance of evidence. He's not an alpha. Like, he's just – and maybe Edwards is. And maybe Cat would become the perfect complement to Edwards at some point. I don't know if Edwards is ready to –
That's what I think will happen at some point. Edwards still looks like a guy who's only 20 years old and occasionally gets a little lost in direction, which is to be expected at that age.
Yeah, totally. But, I mean, he is at least a little more – I don't see it in Cat. I just don't see, like, a guy – all I see is a guy who whines. Like, he's got the worst body language of anybody in the NBA. And that's saying something.
He's gotten better. Someone got to him because the first few games he was doing that like crazy. And the game in Milwaukee, he didn't do it at all. And then he started to get calls. And then Jim Peterson brought that up too, like him not making that body language, those facial expressions and the pouting. He's starting to get calls, and he'll learn that that's the way to do it. So I'm hoping and cautiously optimistic that will keep going forward. But what was it in the last game? He only got like 3 shots in the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
that needs to improve, and that part's not his fault. He didn't get the ball. I was watching. That needs to improve desperately if they're going to win some games this year.
Yeah, he's got to be. I mean, if they are serious about him being, if he is the alpha right now, then yeah, he's got to get 20 shots a game. He's got to get 5 to 6 in the fourth quarter for sure. And if he's hot, you got to ride him, all night long. He's a lot like Anthony Davis to me, where you see flashes of like brilliance, but there's just not enough there. And you're seeing it with the Lakers too. Like Edwards can't. I mean, when Kobe, or not Kobe, I'm sorry, when LeBron's out, I mean, AD can't run the ship by himself. And you think that would be enough? Yeah. Like you'd think Westbrook, AD, and Anthony would be enough to get him a couple of wins while LeBron's out. Haven't been able to do it. Like, and it's because Davis isn't that kind of guy. And I think Cat's not that kind of guy. Like, he just...
I think LeBron's still adjusting from that team he was on with Bugs Bunny.
Yeah, boy, they had it really figured out there too.
No, it was. I mean, it took them a while to to figure out the schematics in that game, but they pulled it off.
The chemistry wasn't. It took a while for everything to come together there.
You got to play with and you got Porky Pig. He's not what he used to be.
No.
All those years ago. He's not quite the same athlete.
Doesn't shoot as well from the outside as he used to.
No,
I mean, there's a lot that goes on there.
It takes him a little while to get the calls out too, Porky Pig.
And the coaching's different. The coaching's vastly different. I mean, there's a lot going on there.
It's true. That's true.
You're maybe one of the 8 people who saw that movie. No, I'm kidding. I'm sure that more than 8 people saw it.
I didn't. I didn't hate. I mean, it was definitely not my favorite movie, but I didn't hate it. I thought I wasn't going to like it. My daughter wanted to watch it, so I was like, "Yeah, we can watch it." So
I find that movies about sports, for the most part, about sports I like, are usually not good. Like, to get a good one is usually nice. But basketball, like, other than Hoosiers, I'm not sure I've seen a good basketball movie.
Forget Paris with Billy Crystal as the referee.
But is that a basket? That doesn't count. Those aren't basketball movies.
Yeah, no. I will say, spoiler alert to anyone out there who's looking forward to seeing the next Space Jam. By the way, what are you waiting for if you were going to watch it? It's only streamable. Anyway, I did like the did you actually see the movie?
I have not. I've seen the original, obviously, and that was part of it. Was like, I don't know if I lived this with Jordan. I don't know if I need to live this again. Like, was there a demand? Like, were there a bunch of people standing there going, you know what we could use right now? Another Space Jam. We could use another one with LeBron.
They were hoping it would do at least that business. And I did read that Jordan was offered to do a sequel to Space Jam, and he absolutely didn't want to.
No.
So, no, in this one, no, they did do the Warner Brothers. I can't remember what they called it, but their version of the multiverse, and they own all the Hanna-Barbera characters.
Oh.
So the entire audience was all these characters from TV and movie yesteryear and through today. I'm sitting there like, that was really cool because they'd flashed all these, like the Flintstones are sitting in the crowd. And I'm like, that's fantastic. So I enjoyed that a lot. And then my favorite bit, again, big spoiler alert if you want to watch the movie.
Who does? But I think you're fine. This is a spoiler-free podcast. If anybody wants to tune this out, they can. But pound sand, sit there. Go ahead.
I was waiting like, will there be some sort of cameo? There's got to be some sort of mention of Michael Jordan. And it only makes sense because it was
no way.
Everyone LeBron was. So at halftime, they're like, we really need something. We need a spark. And then they started like playing a song, and then the shadow comes in, and I'm like, oh my gosh, Michael Jordan's gonna come in, and it was Michael B. Jordan. That was really funny. I was like, all right, that was clever.
There was no way LeBron was going to cede any. He's never going to be a part of anything that shares or allows Jordan to have equal time with him. LeBron hates the fact that happens.
I'm going to disagree. I bet he would have allowed it. I just don't. After watching, what was the documentary again?
The Last Dance.
Last Dance. I can see him absolutely not wanting to do it.
It's clear to me that Jordan hates any idea that LeBron and him are on the same level, and I think vice versa. I think there is a pursuit of LeBron to like, nope, I want to be the guy. I want to be the guy that everybody refers to as the greatest of all time. And Jordan's like, nah, can't let that happen under any circumstances. To the point where him and Scottie Pippen have no friendship now, apparently.
Yeah, I can see that.
Have you been reading some of this stuff from Pippen?
No, I haven't. I
think Pippen's lost his mind. Somebody might want to go check on him. Like, he's lost his mind. He's so mad over this Last Dance thing. He's so angry about it.
I didn't know that. I honestly didn't know that.
Yeah, look this up. Like, he is, like, pissed off about the way Jordan kind of... He didn't like the portrayal of him in it, and I don't think, like, he liked the... He didn't like the section where he sat out and Tony Kukoc played. Like, I think he hates the fact that he continues to get mentioned with that. Like, I think he's like, why does that have to be the central part of my career? And part of me is like, well, because that was the time you were the alpha dog and you chose to sit down, and that's why you're not an alpha dog. Sorry.
From Pippen's perspective too, being in that contract dispute, I get protesting and not wanting to play. I get it. I get it too. I don't know what I do in that scenario, but I get it. I wasn't mad. I mean, I was always, a fan enough of him. I wasn't mad at him thinking about it.
Well, I don't think anybody. See, that's the thing. I don't think anybody was anti-Pippen, ever. Like, I don't think anybody ever sat at home going, "Man, that Pippen guy sucks." Nobody did that. Everybody's like, "Dude, Pippen with Jordan is freaking unstoppable." Like, that's Batman and Robin, literally unstoppable.
Yeah, it's true.
And I don't think anybody thought that. But I think that's the problem with Robins. and this is what gets us back to Cat, is I think Cat's a Robin, and he doesn't want to admit that he's a Robin. But it's like, hey, man, nothing wrong with Robin. I mean,
No.
Robin's a pain in the ass, and he doesn't really get anything done by himself, but Robin's essential. Like, he's a good part of this. So, like, be Robin. But nobody wants the Robin role.
It might just naturally fall that way. It might. There's some time.
Maybe.
Look at that. They're starting out really good against the Memphis Grizzlies, if you're wondering the time of recording this. Although it's really early in the first quarter.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's calm down a minute. Hey,
Oh no, I've been used to stretches in my life where my favorite NBA team was really, really good for 3 quarters and then choked it all the way in the fourth. It's been painful.
I won't spend a lot of time on this, but I did want to get your opinion since this came out a few weeks ago and we just haven't had a chance to talk. The NBA 75.
Oh,
I'm pretty satisfied with the list, to be perfectly honest. Now, I got into it with a couple of friends of mine who say Vince Carter needs to be on it, Dwight Howard needs to be on it.
yeah.
And Klay Thomas thinks that he needs to be on it, which I don't understand that because I don't think anybody thinks Klay Thompson's one of the top 75 players of all time. Nobody thinks that.
Other Carter and Howard, you could easily argue, but yeah, no, I don't know about Klay Thomas.
I'm good with the list. I'm good. Klay Thompson doesn't need to be on it. Howard, sorry, like you had a nice start to your career, but the last 10 years you've been nothing. Like you haven't done anything. The last 10 years of your career, you haven't been anything. Nothing. And
any list you come up with, there's going to be problems with it. You're not going to get everyone on there. You could just call it the best 75 players and put 90 players on there. No one's going to notice.
Well, yeah, they almost should. Can you imagine some guy count? Like people have like Kawhi Leonard's on this list. I don't know. Is Kawhi Leonard one of the 75 best players? I don't know.
I don't know.
And that's
What's
it.
hard too is I get skewed because like my top level of my fandom was that mid to late 90s, early 2000s, and then thinking about all the players that you and I, definitely didn't see from the early 80s before.
Yep, I take their word early 80s and before. I pick it up at like Magic and Bird, and Worthy, and Isaiah Thomas, and then all the guys in the 90s, like all the great players, Barkley, Malone, Stockton. That's where the wheelhouse is for me.
Yeah, no, that was my favorite era, and I think there's something too when you have no adult responsibilities in the world and you're in high school through college. Like those seem to be the things you're the fondest of.
Yeah,
isn't it amazing?
It's amazing how you and I can look back and go, college basketball was better during our youth.
Yeah,
college football was better. Everything's better. Everything is better in our youth. Nothing is as good now as it was then. Is that fair?
I don't want to be that guy. I know what you're saying, but I don't want to be that guy because there's a curmudgeon in my office space that everything was better when we were younger.
The difference is he's 20 years older than us. Like he's complaining that the things in our era stunk and that his era was better.
No, I know, but I'm just like, dude.
Back in my day, soda was 5 cents.
Hang on 1 second. I'm going to mute myself for 1 second because I got a kid yelling at me.
Oh, my God. This father stuff going on in the middle of the podcast is just, it's outrageous, but that's all right. We'll get him back in here, and it will be delightful. Also, are you back?
Yeah, I'm back.
You are back. This is so
you
good.
Hear me yell. My daughter doesn't. Both of my kids don't. They
don't understand broadcasting.
Well, there's that, and there's the she wants more chocolate milk. She's watching something.
More chocolate milk? What the hell's going on over there?
Here's the best part, though. Will she bring the cup up and say, "Hey, can you fill this again?" No.
Nope. She's gonna need a freshie.
Run down and get it.
Yeah. No. She wants you to be a server and get a fresh one out there to her. Get a fresh glass.
I told her I'd make her another one. She needs to bring it up. There she is, right there. All right. Back.
Are we kidding me with this? Those things, that was not small. That wasn't like a lowball glass of chocolate milk you gave her. That was a full-scale pint.
You're gonna have to bring it down too. Yeah, no, I know.
My goodness.
Sorry, audience, for the.
No, this is I like this podcast. This is a glimpse inside.
Too for later. Okay.
Oh, there you go. A glimpse inside fatherhood.
Yeah.
At this stage.
The refrigerator.
You guys should almost have a segment during Derek and Tim Shoot the Breeze, and that would be like, what's in Derek's fridge? That could be.
I was thinking a fun backdrop. I could show you my action figure collection someday, but I'm a nerd. So.
We'll go through that too one day. That's another Shoot the Breeze episode for sure. We'll take that in and it'll be delightful.
So jumping back into the wind we were just in. See what I did there?
I like what you did. That's brilliant. Chef's kiss there.
just the whole idea, like the oh no, back in my day, kids were better. Back in my day, this was better. Blah blah blah. But every generation in history's done that. Like when they were younger, the old people were saying that about them.
I agree.
And I just said, I'm not going to be that guy. I'm not going to be the one that says things were always better. Because I don't want to ride a horse.
No, I don't want. See, that's just it. There is a time where you can categorically say, no, I'm sorry, my time is better than your time.
Yeah.
I am not riding a horse.
Yeah, no, I'm not riding a horse. I'm not. I just watched something on History Channel yesterday when they talked about New York City and sanitation problems, with horses and people pooping in the streets. I'm like, no, I don't want to go back to that. I don't want to poop in the street.
I'm not trying to live to the ripe old age of 36 like they did in the Old West. I'd like to think my time was better. I'm just going with that.
Yeah. Was I more attentive before smartphones? Sure. But now how can I look up any piece of information I want whenever I want?
I would argue that's almost to your detriment because that's what gets these Aaron Rodgers types.
Oh, no, I know.
Like, think about that.
If these,
detriment.
Did
you
you
not
hear
have
I did that kind of tongue-in-cheek where I said, sure, I'd pay attention to things more, but...
You'd have you think about that, though. If we go back to our time, just our time, there's none of this Aaron Rodgers stuff. He's just he's getting the vaccine and we're moving on.
Yeah, no, that's true.
He's like, the doctor says we should take it, so we might as well just take it instead of going, I was doing some research on a couple of these on Bob's blog of medical science, and, Bob's not a doctor, but Bob did watch all 11 seasons of ER, and so that's good. He tells me that I shouldn't take this vaccine. I'm just saying, we wouldn't have this, is all I'm saying. That's all.
I'm not an expert on broadcasting, but I did watch UHF with Weird Al Yankovic.
Exactly.
I know a lot about making TV shows.
Yeah, ESPN was better. I mean, everything's better back in our day. I'm sorry.
It's weird because I remember before school, I would watch the Sports Center. Sometimes when they ran the same Sports Center like every hour, I'd watch the same one twice.
They did, yeah. They'd run it. They'd run it all morning.
Yeah. I haven't watched ESPN other than an actual game in probably 20 years. I haven't watched SportsCenter in forever. Or Baseball Tonight. Those used to be appointment TV for me.
Oh my God. I was just telling somebody about this because they just put ESPN Primetime on ESPN Plus with Boomer and Booger McFarland, your guy. And I love primetime. Like, I love the highlight shows. Like, I'm like, why? It's like you're trying to tell me that it can't work now? Like, nobody wants to watch Baseball Tonight? Nobody wants to watch NFL Primetime or the NBA Tonight? Nobody wants to watch any of these shows? Yeah. And the answer, I got from Zach, your guy, says no. Like, he says, nobody wants to watch that. I wanted to watch that. Like, I love Baseball Tonight. God damn it.
I have to think, though, there was kind of a feeling out process because I was watching – this is maybe a little apples and oranges, but I was watching the documentary on how MTV got started. And by the way, the idea came from Mike Nesmith of the Monkees, but that's a whole other issue for another day.
That could be a whole other podcast.
But they brought up how, we're going to get all these music videos on there, and people still complain today, like, MTV was better when I was a kid. But then, they started Real World. Now they have regular TV shows on there now because the ratings for that is like 3 times what the music videos were. And then they cut out at the end, and Mike Nesmith had said, and we were wondering, would people watch music videos? And he goes, turns out, no.
See, but they did, though, for a long time.
But not as much and not in the high volume that they watched other things. That was the problem.
See, that's the thing. Somebody just told me this the other day. They're like, hey, so I just watched MTV the other day. It's pretty, there's nothing on that channel. It's pretty useless. Why does that channel even exist anymore? Same with VH1. What does that channel do anymore?
Catering to the young folk.
I don't know what it does anymore. I got to tell you, it does nothing for me.
We're out of their demo.
We are
by far. We're way out of their demo.
I know it's
the teens to the college age kids. That's about it.
This is the Get Off My Lawn edition of the podcast. Really, this is an old man's podcast now. It's officially.
Notice how I did not once say MTV was better. I didn't say that at all. I just said we're out of their demo.
It was better though. Come on, don't even talk to me that this is better. What you're watching right now.
I'm not doing that back in my day stuff. I promised myself I wouldn't do it.
16 and pregnant, better than watching music videos. Would you rather watch 16 and pregnant?
I'm not the one who's pregnant and 16. Yep. I'm kidding. I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying. I will say one of our colleagues. I won't say who it is. A colleague of mine. She.
Not the one who makes the sandwiches.
One of her favorite shows
is 16 and pregnant.
Yeah. And it's not someone you would ever guess it was their favorite show.
Really?
I'll tell you off the air later.
Oh, well, now I kind of need to end the podcast so we can. No, I'm just kidding. No. We'll plow through the
I
rest
just
of this.
sat there and I'm
still.
like, really? You? I don't believe it. Anyway.
Yeah, people they like what they like. My gal now is into it's after Halloween, as you know, which now means it's Hallmark Christmas movie season for the next literally 60 days.
Until next October 1st.
Oh, God.
They switch to their 30 days of Halloween movies and then go back to Christmas movies.
She has already pounded through like 3 movies already in the last couple of days. 3, 4. I'm like, what is going on here? Like, have you seen all of this? She's like, I've seen the first one. I saw this one last year, but this is new, and I want to watch this one. Oh, and they've got this one coming on later, and I'm like, how many movies are Leanne Rimes in? Like, Leanne Rimes apparently has done like 25 movies. Like, I didn't even know that. I didn't even know Leanne Rimes was that big.
Watched? How many Hallmark Christmas movies have you sat down and watched?
In their entirety?
Yeah.
0.
I watched 1.
I've caught 5 minutes here, 10 minutes here because my wife will be in the middle of watching something, and I'll be like, "Oh, Leanne Rimes, she's cute." Anyway, let's move on. And then you get like 5 minutes of dialogue, and you're like, "Oh, this is awful. Yeah. Who would watch this?" And apparently, everybody watches it because it's huge.
I stuck with 1 because I love the show New Girl, and the guy that I don't know if you ever watched that. Zoe Deschanel.
Yes.
And I don't remember the actor's name, but the guy who played Winston was on it, and then Tatiana Ali, who was actually from the Fresh Prince.
I like Tatiana
Ali.
Ali.
We were the 2 stars, and I was like, I can watch this.
I could have been in on Tatiana Ali. Yeah, you could have talked me into that.
Tatiana Ali is a really, really beautiful woman. I'm like, I can sit and watch this, and I did, and it was okay. It was a slightly different variation, but all of those movies have the same theme.
Plot. Yeah, there's nothing going on there.
It's either he's new in town or she's new in town, and then they've got to meet somebody, and then they fall in love at the end, and then like, will they or won't they? And then it just means kiss. Like, that's as far as they get.
That's it.
Hallmark.
And we don't know how this. I want to go back to like, I want them to make a Christmas movie called like The Aftermath or something like that. Like 10 years later, and they're drunk, and they're like, "Oh, and your freaking relatives are coming over again this year, aren't they?" Yeah, we're hosting. We have to host every year. Danica McKellar's got a cigarette hanging out of her mouth and untucked shirt, and she's just yeah. And you know what? You're gonna make the turkey right this year because it was dry as a bone last year. What do you think of that? I'd love it. I'd pay for that. That would be so good. That was the drama, was Danica McKellar's leaving Hallmark Movie Channel to go to another rival movie channel company. I'm like, there's a rival channel now? What's going on around here?
I think Lifetime started making them too, and Netflix is making some of that variety. I mean, Netflix is doing their theatrical quality ones, but they also are doing those styles because I know people watch them. I'm curious. I would love to see a business model. I want to know what kind of money one of those movies brings in ad revenue.
It's kind of like those radio stations that play Christmas songs on November 1st. I'm like, there can't be enough material. Like, there's 6 Christmas songs. Like, what? How can you do this? Like, how can you play 6 songs over and over again?
I know most of our listeners aren't from this state, but the main station that plays the Christmas music here, the one thing that this is the first time they've started this early. Usually they sprinkle in about 50-50 mix of their classic music and classic rock music and Christmas the few days before Thanksgiving, and then Thanksgiving they go all in. Last year, because people were at home, they decided to start a couple weeks early, and then this year, I don't know what happened. They were like, screw it, let's just play them. And I was like, what? But the one thing I don't get, if you listen to it, the cool station, they play like the same blocks of songs like every 2 hours. I'm a Christmas music junkie, long story, but you could play a whole day of different songs and you'd never duplicate a Christmas song. I might be exaggerating a little bit, but they keep duplicating. And I was like, why don't they play it? I love this one. They never play it. I love this one. They never play it. I love this one. They never play it. I get lost.
How can that be? There's only 6 of them. Like,
What's
there's
that?
only 6 songs. There's seriously, I think there's Mariah Carey, and there's Bing Crosby, and there's Nat King Cole, and like, that's it. Like, there's 3 others sprinkled in. Burl Ives. Burl Ives sings a song.
There's like, when I say there's numerous, there is like, 10 different versions of Rudolph between,
Well, that's just it.
Gene Autry and Smokey Robinson and the Temptations, and so there's that, but at least they get those versions.
Yeah.
But no, you also forgot Wham! Last Christmas.
Oh, Wham!
But the local state, Stevie Wonder's got 2 Christmas songs that I love. They never play those. I'm just like, what? They never play the David Bowie, Bing Crosby song. I don't understand that.
It's because they hated each other. It's not in the spirit of Christmas. Bing wanted nothing to do with it.
Fascinating.
Oh.
And Bing Crosby was everything I've heard, and the 2 versions of that story I've heard, Bing Crosby was the salty one in that pairing.
I'm surprised Bing didn't want to beat David Bowie with a bag of oranges. I'm surprised he didn't do that.
He probably did. I think it was a bag of moldy tangerines.
Yeah, he's like, you giving me lip, boy? Because I'll take the orange to you.
Hey, it led to one of my favorite tunes because
so you're in on this. You want the Christmas music. You're all for it.
I used to not care, and then I worked in a toy store when I was in college, and then the Christmas music would come on. We'd play the Christmas music on whatever the in-store tapes were, and I got hooked. That's what hooked me in.
I worked at a holiday station in my 20s, a gas station, and I worked over the holiday season.
Yeah.
And oh dear God. I mean, I heard the same damn songs every single day. And I'm like, I swear to God, there's 10 Christmas songs. That's all there is. There's maybe 100 different versions of the same 10 songs.
Yeah.
It's kind of like in football. Like they have the same 10 plays, they just disguise them and call them differently. But it's basically the same thing. It's like, we got this one where we put all the receivers on the right and we run the same play, and then we got the same play, but we put all the receivers on the left. And that's exactly what's happening here. We got Rudolph, we got Jingle Bells, got Silent Night, we got Oh Holy Night. But now we're going to mix it up, and we're going to do those same songs, but now Garth Brooks is going to sing them. And that's what's going to make it better. Nobody's going to know now. It's like, what is happening here? Oh, God almighty.
I'm going to find you a list of Christmas songs you'll like.
Please do. I can name you 3 I like, but they don't play those 3. They want to play 300 of the versions of those 3. I just want to hear the 3. That's
Fair
it.
enough.
There you go. That's that. Oh, my God. Enough Christmas talk. I can't do this because you and I will definitely be talking about that more as we get closer to the holiday season because I know you're a big holiday guy. I'm sure you're hosting the family this year.
We are not.
Wow. So
Which is good because it gets stressful. My brother, sister-in-law, and sister all come back from California for a stretch, so they'll be around my house, but my parents think this will be the last year in their house, so they want to do it at their house.
Oh, so you're not hosting this year. So it's not the Griswold family Christmas right now where you're hosting. So that's big, but I'm sure you'll have stories of when you did host.
Well, I'd love to say that. The only 2 times I've hosted, only my parents were the only ones that came over.
Oh, you planned it perfectly then. Oh, perfect. Oh, yeah. I can't wait to hear those stories next time. That's going to be good.
Last year with COVID, everyone just sent the presents here, and we sent presents elsewhere, and no one came. So was
that not a bad system?
I sat there going like, we, as human beings too, we get stuck in our ruts where like every year on Thanksgiving I do this every year, and I'm like, I'd like to try it different. And then after I tried it different, I'm like, maybe it wasn't so bad doing it the other way.
Yeah, I kind of did. I kind of missed the Thanksgiving stuff too. I did too. Yeah. I must admit.
No, I'm looking forward to the yelling and the screaming and the I'm right about politics.
I'm sure the political discussions at your family stuff is really good. I can't wait for that.
I'm gonna try to squash it before it happens.
Smart man.
I don't know. I have a feeling that one of my relatives might listen to this after you highlight it on social media. But
yeah, that's what I tend to do.
I put up a couple of passive aggressive things on Facebook about like first person that talks politics has to do all the dishes by themselves. And that kind of thing, and it usually stops. It helps it right away.
You should almost have like a swear jar in the middle of the table, like it's the politics jar. Anytime somebody mentions anything political, they got to throw $1 in the kitty.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
And then the last person who doesn't say anything or put anything in, like takes it all. Like takes, like if you're the last guy standing, you take all the money in the kitty.
We might be able to do something like that.
I like that idea.
I did find, and that my passive aggressive attempt last time, I found, that was a few years ago, I found a Thanksgiving Day bingo card, how to handle bingo with and I found one and then I modified some of the spaces, but one of them was relative talks about politics. And that's what I posted. And then no one talked, and it's all I did. And then nobody talked about politics on that family grouping for the first time I could ever remember. And I was like, wow, that little subtle move worked. It was amazing.
Try that again. Do something.
I might. It was also the first time ever. One thing, and did I talk about balding before last time? Did I talk about it? I don't remember.
No, because I'm balding too. We can easily talk about this.
No, I always had some relatives with full heads of hair who thinks it's funny when you're balding.
Yeah, it's real funny when they pick on you, isn't it?
I know, and I'm just like, wait a second. Is this not, and I have this in my stand-up routine, but like, this is like one of the last things where you can be essentially afflicted with something that's a physical ailment of sorts.
It has nothing to do with you.
Yeah, and you cannot help it. But other people who are not afflicted with that ailment can still it's still open season on you.
Yeah.
Like that, like seriously, I'm like, why is that still okay? Like, really? Like,
I would just be like, would you say that to somebody with polio? Would you do this to somebody with polio? Yeah. No.
Exactly.
It's the same thing. Polio, balding, same thing.
I want to be like, you're laughing at me. Ha ha, you don't have hair. I'm like, ha ha, you have a fake hip. Like, then I'm the bad guy. Or like one of the people who's made fun of me is like, ha ha, you don't have hair. And then if I turn around though and go, ha ha, you are morbidly obese. Again, I'm the bad guy, right? Even though, why is it okay for this one to be made fun of? And I do not want to make fun of someone being morbidly obese, but if they do that, why can't I turn around and do that? I can't, because then I'll be the bad guy.
I think you got to go deeper next time. Just be like, haha, and you're an alcoholic who smokes too much, and you're probably going to get divorced in the next 5 years.
I'm pretty sure you've never kissed another human being. That one's in the bag too.
That is in the holster. You can fire at that.
I just got to make sure that I've got I'm not trapped in a corner too, so I can run.
Yeah, I got to say it on the way out. I can do something you can't do. Go home with somebody. Dear God. And
then they can come back to me and like, yeah, I noticed she's not bragging about it either.
Great. Hey, you know what? Hey, it's cheaper to keep her, right? That's all you got to do. Just come back with that. And then they'll be like, I don't know what that means. I'll be like, yeah, who the hell cares? Doesn't matter what it means. It means I've got something and you don't. And it doesn't cost me that much.
I've never looked at it in monetary terms before, but there we go.
I'm here to help, Derek. That's what I'm here to do. All right, on the way out, we got to talk wrestling because we always do. At least we've done it now twice, so we got to do it again.
This is actually upcoming this weekend in the great state of Minnesota. This is a huge wrestling weekend, like huge.
Yeah, huge. It's very huge. It's the greatest wrestling weekend. Nobody's done wrestling weekends as good as this wrestling weekend.
Possibly. I don't know.
Possibly. Could very well be.
Yeah, I'm happy and shocked. I'm shappy.
I got some students who actually said they were really excited to go see this thing. Like,
are they really going down there?
I had a couple wrestling kids in class today who were like, Kurt Angle's going to be, I'm going because Kurt Angle's going to be there.
Wow. No, I was told Kurt. That the free tickets went well. Yeah, no, I think I'm going to go see Kurt. Since the promoter was in touch with me, I'm going to send something tomorrow about looking forward to going.
Yeah.
So that's cool, but it's crazy. Then AEW's got their first ever pay-per-view in Minnesota the same night as a large independent show, this Midwest All-Star Wrestling, who's going to have Kurt Angle. I'm giving him a free plug.
Does that mean Kurt's going to – maybe Kurt's planned this. Maybe this is strategic. Now Kurt will be a big reveal at AEW that night.
Good question. I doubt it.
There's got to be a plan for this.
No, because I think this was all happenstance that they were on the same night. Because the Full Gear AEW announced it way late into the game comparatively to.
They're going to be like, who's going to be in Minnesota that night? Well, Jerry the King Lawler and Kurt.
Oh, Jerry Lawler is though, and you know who else will be in town then the same day? JR.
Ooh.
Who knows? Tatanka's going to be there.
Stay tuned. It's going to be fun.
Ken Anderson, the famed former Mr. Kennedy, and now the one of the probably the I would say best wrestling schools in the country. He runs in the Minneapolis area.
Yeah.
But so anyone out there listening who wants to become a pro wrestler,
there you go.
There's a plug. Full of them today. Plugs.
Yes.
Okay.
All the guys that got released this week in WWE.
Yeah.
Obviously, the three big ones were Nia Jax, Keith Lee, Karrion Kross, and some others. Ember Moon. Ember Moon was a big one too, right? Because I really liked Ember Moon as well. They looked at these folks at the top, especially when you looked at like a Nia Jax and a Keith Lee and an Ember Moon, and you said like, well, here is like that. If they're looking for diversity, they're looking for new blood, they're looking for a new face, new energy. They kind of circled these three or four a few years back and said these would be the ones that were going to do that. Clearly not the case. Now, there's been various things that have come out recently, and some of that might just be out the door nastiness about being unvaccinated or maybe being hard to work with. But Just your thoughts.
A lot of them Keith Lee surprised me a lot.
Me too.
Because where he had come from in NXT, sometimes the package of a character just ropes me in, and I think that's part of what pro wrestling is. But that all bask in his glory, part of his song, and to hear the crowd chant like bask in his glory, and I was like, this character could be a big thing. And then do you remember that Royal Rumble when Brock Lesnar was like thumping everybody? He went through like 15 minutes in a row, just like tossing people out.
Yeah.
And Keith Lee came out, and Brock put him over. He was like, this is a big boy. And Keith Lee like gave him an actual fight, of course, before he got tossed, if I remember correctly. I can't remember.
Yeah, I think that's true. Yeah, because I think it was like Edge or whatever who stayed in.
And I was just like, wow, I was intrigued. But then he comes up, and I know there's been criticism that whatever Triple H and Sean have been doing with the NXT guys, it seems to be working. Vince always wants to like tweak and adjust. They took away that song right away when Keith Lee came to the main roster, and I'm like that. Well, it didn't help that at the time. Still, there was no crowd. To me, no matter what, with all these releases, there's going to be an unfairness in the evaluation of the interest level in these characters without the crowd.
Yep, that's fair.
And that was hard. I get why you needed to bring them up at certain times too, to try to inject a little life into the product, but it was really hard to know what was working or not working. I almost wish, this will sound counterintuitive, but I wish they kept the storyline stagnant during the crowdless things. Not like the stories aren't being addressed, but like, Otis and Mandy Rose, the crowd ate that up, and then all of a sudden they do all the blow off of it with no crowd. I'm like, they could have just kind of teased things here and there until the crowd came back, and then the crowd would have eaten it up again.
Could you have done that for a year though? I mean, that's the thing.
I don't know.
That's
you'd have to maybe written them off TV for a little stretch to pull it off, or maybe they could do some sort of reunion at some point. But it's weird to me, and I don't have an answer. Again, here's me telling other people what to do with their business. But Keith Lee, I'm surprised by that because I thought he was a main event caliber guy. I really did. I like Limitless one better than Bearcat against little slight tweaks.
Yeah, that was a stupid one. I never understood that one. I'm like, what is it? What is it about that? That name doesn't make sense. That's like Fang McFrost.
I do, I do. Call me crazy, but I do feel like, and Vince McMahon, don't get me wrong, he still makes some good moves. He still has, but I feel like when things are working, he still wants to like go, no, I want it to be my way, and he just fixes it, and he doesn't need to. Ember Moon and Nia Jax, my daughters both at the height of their runs. My daughters love them both. I was really fascinated by Ember Moon's athleticism and her look with the eyes and the music. And I'm just
Ember's beautiful. Yeah, she's fantastic.
Cool. Yeah, she could do some cool things in the area. And Nia Jax too. You remember, when we were watching wrestling in our formative years in the 90s, the women all had to look like supermodels with some rare exceptions.
Or they looked like giants. Or they were either like these haunchy, they were meant to be like these big, big haunchy women who were never faces, by the way, always heels, always heels.
And just to watch Nia Jax, someone who wasn't, for lack of a better word, like the traditional look of what you'd think of as a model or even as what WWE divas were, but to watch her be that size and still be athletic and being able to work in the ring and be over with the crowd, and watching her with, her tag team with Baszler, and I didn't get that one either. I did see that she had asked for time off for a mental health break, and when she was supposed to go back on the road on the 15th of November, she said that she asked for an extension of the break, and then they just told her that they were going to release her. And
there was talk that she was one of the unvaccinated ones too, and I don't know if that's true or not. And I won't say if it's substantiated or not. I know there's been a lot of people who talk about how she's unsafe in the ring. I've heard that for years about her. But that's just it. I've heard that for years. So is that just now coming to a head or what? But, I do think there was a spot for her, especially like she was really like a pioneer of these plus size wrestlers who were terrific and agile. And now you're seeing that with like Doudrop and Molly Spartan and some of these other wrestlers. It's like, that's how, it's okay to have that. And I worry that when you take away an Ember Moon, you take away a Nia Jax, that we're moving back towards, hey, only this box. You got to look like this to wrestle at the main level of WWE, which is a little bit of a scary thought.
If it's true too, there was a rumor that went around, and I don't remember if it was Meltzer or who, but that said that new talent, female talent, they're going to sign have to be 25 or under. I hope that's not true.
Yeah. The Mickey James thing. Yeah. It's like
she was terribly underutilized at the end of her run.
Mickey James. And it's like, it's like we're going to run AJ Styles out there as 43, but Mickey James at 38 or 40 can't go. It's like, that's ridiculous. That's it. And Mickey James is freaking beautiful. Like, are you trying to tell me people don't want to watch Mickey James wrestle? Give me a break.
Yeah. I was a big fan of her work, so I was cool when she came back, and I thought they'd do more with her. They do get into this formula where they bring back a lot of these seasoned vets, but then they just have them lose to younger guys over and over.
Yeah, and that's the problem is you telegraph that. You see that coming a mile away. Like, they're just going to go there and give somebody the rub, and then that's it.
Yeah, they did that with Goldust. Remember when the Dudley Boys made their huge return, and people went through the roof to feud with, at the time, the heel New Day?
Yep.
Dudley's for 6 months were booked, I thought, really well. And then for the last 6 months, they just lost every match.
Yeah.
Over and over and over. And I was like, well, and I know they say it doesn't matter, but at some point I'm like, when I just know the conclusion, it makes it less fun to watch.
I agree with you. And how much of it, too, is the Charlotte Flair, Nia Jax kind of thing? Like, they had that match a couple months ago where it seemed like legitimately a shoot in the ring. Like, those two legitimately seem to have issues with each other. And that's not the first time, apparently, that's happened. Like, how much of it is that? And I don't know. Like, now people are wondering if Charlotte's next, and you don't know if this was kind of a power move. It's just hard to say. But, man, it did take you by surprise.
I'm still kind of in this whole process of things. 71, is that the number now of releases this year in 2021?
Yeah. And the roster still seems huge. It still seems too big.
I just wish they'd figure out how to use them all. I don't quite get it. It seems like directionless. They're just like cutting people to cut people, it feels like. I don't understand.
I don't understand that either.
I don't. I mean, they lose Adam Cole. They lose Daniel Bryan, aka Bryan Danielson. I don't get a lot of what they're doing right now. And I do wish that watching Vince McMahon, who is 70 something, watching, I got to move the computer. We're going to get a lot of interruption. My wife's coming home with my other daughter. But Vince McMahon, you got Bruce Pritchard still as his second in command, who is, I do love a lot of what Bruce has done, but I almost feel like everything now they've done for so long, it just becomes so formulaic.
Yep.
That I don't mind that they're in those positions. I just wish they'd bring in a couple of younger guys with them.
Yep.
To hang on one sec. I'm going to mute this real quick. So if you want to talk,
we get to wrap up the pod in the next few minutes anyway. But I want Derek to give me this little nugget. We're going to save. We're going to do a little top 10 list for pro wrestling, but we're going to save that, I think, for another pod because we're running out of pod. Like, we just got a lot of show going on here, Derek. I mean, there's so much we've talked about.
Sure do. Wait to see this background.
Oh, that is so awesome. Oh. I need to go over there and hang out and play with your Hasbros.
See my the Hasbros.
Look at all the Hasbros. Those are my guys, man. You have an Owen Hart Hasbro? I'm coming over.
I do.
Look at all those. That's so awesome.
This is my guest bedroom, and it's set up right now to sell stuff on eBay. So it's really.
I'm moving in. I'm moving in, dude. You got chocolate milk and 9 boxes of cereal and Hasbros.
And He-Man
and He-Man. Give me a break, man. Shelf. Oh, for crying out loud! That's it. I'm leaving now. I'm going over there.
I'll tell my wife to have snacks.
Yeah. Tell her I like some Cheez-Its, and I'll just work on some of the cereal you got up there. It'll be lovely.
Oh, that's right. Cheez-Its and cereal.
I don't need much more than that. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. I'm like 17 years old with my diet still. I mean, what the hell do you want from me?
Middleman. Let's put the Cheez-Its in some milk.
Just turn
straight in there.
And turn on the Sega Genesis when I get over there, too, will you? I want to make sure we play some
Tecmo. But I think it's at my parents' house.
Let's get some Tecmo Bowl going next time. Derek?
Tecmo Bowl.
I love this. I love these convos. We definitely got to have more of them. I thoroughly have enjoyed our hour and... How long did we go today? My goodness, an hour and 10 minutes almost. This is impressive.
I tend to ramble.
No, dude, this is great. This is exactly what we love in Derek and Tim Shoot the Breeze. This is what we need every now and again. You and I need to cleanse. We need to get these ideas out. We need to purge. We need to get this out there.
Sure. I'm gonna leave the listening audience with this. So I like to maintain and have friendships throughout the building that I work in. So I go visit. I'll go out and visit my friends. And I noticed that none of them come to ever visit me.
I do come to visit, but it's weird. And it's weird coming to your bunker.
My office space is weird for that. But I'm Is that a sign? Anyway.
What you need is a classroom.
That's to ponder.
You need a classroom where I can go bother you. Because
I actually do have one, but you probably don't want to bother me in my classroom because I'll explain tomorrow.
I'm just saying, I walk into that office, you're shared with 6 other people. You're in the back corner, like the dark recesses of the office. And I just feel like it's like an Olympic event to get to you. I can't have it. We got to have some simplicity here.
My personality brightens up that corner of the office.
That's why you're there, my friend. It's always good to have you.
Yeah.
Ah, Derek, it's such a delight. Thanks so much for hanging out with me on the pod this evening. I appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.
And for everybody who wants to listen to the pod, I want to appreciate you for listening. We're everywhere that you can get your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible, iHeartRadio, everywhere you can get one. Please make sure you share it out. Please make sure you subscribe. You tell a friend. You can send me an email also at timpodcast1@yahoo.com. And find me as well at podbean.com/timpodcast or timpodcast/podbean.com. One day I'll figure out what it all means, but there it is. So until next time, for Derek, this is Tim saying keep your head up, and we'll see you.
You take the good, you take the bad, you take them both, and there you have the facts of life. The facts of life. But when's the time you got to go and show you're growing? Now you know about the facts of life. The facts of life. When the world never seems to be living up to your dreams, and suddenly you're finding out the facts of life are all about you. All about you. All about you. It takes a lot.